Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. I'm going to be showing you some different hand-lettered Christmas card ideas. The first design is a bubble hat design. I started by drawing a semicircle out in pencil, and underneath that was a slightly curved rectangle. Above the semicircle I drew a little bubble shape, just imagine a little bunny's tail. That's the kind of style I went for. I then went on to colour the hat in grey. Of course you can use any colour you want. You can customise it based on the person you're giving it to. So for example, if someone has a bright red hat, you could make it red. Finally, on the doodle, I went over the outlines with a fine liner, and at the bottom I also drew some downward strokes to represent the ribbing at the bottom of the hat. It just adds a bit more detail to it, but it's quite simple to draw out. To finish it off, I used a pen tool touch pen just to write Merry Christmas in all lowercase, and it just adds a pop of colour using the green. Moving on to the next design, draw out a light circle in pencil. At the bottom, draw a little bow. I drew it in red because this is based on a Christmas wreath, so traditional colours are green and red. Don't worry about the bow being perfectly symmetrical. I actually quite liked it looking a bit more random and a bit more natural. Using the sketched out circle, I went around the card writing Merry Christmas in a cursive font. I recommend moving the card around as you do this, otherwise it may end up more slanted. Whilst if you turn the card as you go, it should remain fairly upright as you do it. Don't worry if the word isn't written fully at the end. It doesn't need to be written in full, and if you squish it, it might look a bit messy. Once you've done that, go around on the inside layer, writing it again, and do the same thing. Next up is a bauble design. I sketched out an approximate circle by hand, and then I went and coloured it in using a light blue brush pen. Above the bauble I drew a little rectangle followed by a little squiggle, just to finish it off. You can either leave it at that or you can add some further decoration. So I went in using a jelly roll pen and just added some squiggles and dots, so the extra flourishes don't have to be particularly fancy and it can look quite nice still. At the bottom I used my pen tool touch pens again just to write out Merry Christmas. Obviously you can capitalise Merry Christmas if you want, but I quite like writing it in lowercase. Moving on to the fourth design, this one is based on a gift tag. So if you start by sketching out a gift tag shape, so I did a rectangle shape with a triangle edge to the left hand side, and I did it a little bit off centre because I think it looks a bit nicer that way, and towards the triangle tip I drew a little circle as well. I then follow that up by drawing a bow, starting with the little circle that I drew out. Once I've drawn the bow, I then outline the sketch I've just done. Normally I draw things freehand because I'm a bit lazy and can't be bothered to deal with a ruler and risk smudging, but looking back at this one, I recommend a ruler for this design, just to make it look a bit tidier. Also make sure you outline the little circle as well, avoiding going over the bow shape. Once I've outlined the gift tag, I then use a small brush pen to write something on the gift tag. So this one I wrote with love, but you could maybe write someone's name. It's completely up to you. Okay, so the final design is probably my favourites. I use a larger brush pen to write out Let It Snow, and then I use some Snowflake stamps that I bought to stamp around the lettering. So I chose different shapes, different snowflake shapes, and use a mixture of blue ink and silver ink, and I think this came out very nicely. If you're using stamps, I recommend not worrying too much about if the whole thing doesn't come out perfectly. I think it can look a little faded and still look nice. I'd recommend putting a piece of paper underneath so that you can use the stamps around the edges and have the design slightly off centre. It just makes it look a bit more interesting. Okay, so I hope you found this video helpful and that it inspired you to send out some Christmas cards of your own if you weren't planning to already. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. I'll make sure to list the products that I use down below. And that's all for now, and have a lovely Christmas.